Extend your arms and welcome to the future. The best is yet to come. Good evening to everyone. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all who have gathered here for this webinar on the topic The Benchmark of Academic Education of Human Development in the Contemporary World. Let's begin our webinar with a prayer song followed by Tamil Thai Varth.
நெஞ்சே நீ ஆண்டவரை வாழ்த்து, அவர் செய்த நன்மைகளை ஒரு நாளும் மறவாதே. நெஞ்சே நீ ஆண்டவரை வாழ்த்து, அவர் செய்த நன்மைகளை ஒரு நாளும் மறவாதே. நெஞ்சே நீ ஆண்டவரை வாழ்த்து, அவர் செய்த நன்மைகளை ஒரு நாளும் மறவாதே. உன் பாவங்கள் மன்னித்திடுவார், உன் நோய்களை குணமாக்குவார். உன் பாவங்கள் மன்னித்திடுவார், உன் நோய்களை குணமாக்குவார். உன்னுயிரை அழிவினின்று மீட்டு காத்திடுவார். உன்னுயிரை அழிவினின்று மீட்டு காத்திடுவார். அருளையும் இரக்கத்தையும் முடியாக சூட்டிடுவார். நன்றி 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 என்று பாடுவேன், நன்மை செய்த நல்லவரை போற்றுவேன். நன்றி 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 என்று பாடுவேன், நன்மை செய்த நல்லவரை போற்றுவேன்.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Now, I would like to invite Mr. J. Anthony Joseph, Assistant Professor of Perspectives in Education, Loyola College of Education, Chennai, to give a welcome address.
Good evening to all. It's my privilege to welcome you all in this happy evening. To be more specific, and my professors from other colleges and universities, and my dear students. I am pleasured to say a few words about resource person, Dr. Emilda Josephine, before I hand over the session to her. She began her career as an higher secondary school principal and then moved further as assistant professor in deemed university and later on promoted herself as assistant professor in Loyola College, the prestigious college in Chennai. And right now, she is serving as assistant professor of education, Lebanese French University, Erbil in Iraq. She served as research person in more than 35 programs at various schools, colleges, and universities. And I would like to quote very few among them. They are key resource person on RMSA and SSA training for English teachers conducted by the government of Tamil Nadu, chairperson on innovation in elementary education, Diet Conjipuram, resource person on training headmasters on educational management and discipline program, resource person on teaching of English level 1 and level 2 of Tamil Nadu Open University, resource person on training of English resource RMSA Chennai, served as resource person on Techno English Classroom, Miston College of Education, resource person on micro teaching, Tamil Nadu Open University, B.Ed Special Education students of hearing impact. Resource person on in English of pedagogy of English and teaching of English as second language in MGR Institute of Medical Special Education and Research, Chennai. Key resource person on mental health awareness amidst COVID crisis at Auxilium College for Women. Served as resource person on diversities in school system in Iraq and international perspective, Annamal College for Women. She served as scrutinizing officer in the examination committee, Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, and she is also a member of advisory board in various schools and colleges. She has given training to school teachers in the areas like life scoping skills, communication skills, classroom English, language activities in the classroom for primary school teachers, and creative English language technique, teach English, flawless grammar, team bonding, speak English for secondary and higher secondary teachers. Under various publications are, she presented 28 articles in the National Journal and monographs, 7 articles in international journals, more than 25 articles in blogs and websites, 32 articles in ResearchGate and edited 5 books. Heretofore, she participated 76 seminars, symposium, conferences, and panel discussion, and attended 15 workshops. In this young age, she has guided 13 scholars in research, and she is being a reviewer of foreign journals like American Journals of Educational Research, USA, Kolai Janat Journal, Lebanese French University, Erbil in Iraq. She has been awarded Best Teacher Educated Award in the year of 2018, Professor in Excellence in the year of 2020, Desatin Sirpi in the year of 2020. The latest achievements in recent days is she received innovation patent for vehicle and driver safety from the Australian government in the year of 2021. I am proud to welcome once again such a woman of parts and welcome you all again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now you can
A wonderful afternoon to you. I'm deeply humbled by your words, Professor. Thanks for your kind appreciation. I begin with a quote by Warren Bennis. Leadership is the quality to translate vision into reality. I am proud to have worked under such visionary leadership. We have our own alumni who have been, four of our alumni who have been elected as representatives from our. My profound felicitations to one of the greatest leader and pioneer in the education industry who bounces in leaps and bounds. Reverend Father Susie Sebastian, Secretary, Loyola College of Education, the assiduous and diligent Dr. Colende Teresol, the principal, Professor Anthony Joseph, the eager beaver of this government, fellow colleagues, educationists, research scholars, delegates from various institutions, and my dear students. I'm delighted to visit LCA again virtually. Every alumni has nostalgic memories to enter Loyola premises. I'm still emotional and I stand back in appreciation and wonder at the creative cogitation and painful endeavors of our own teacher educators in channeling the future teachers to face the millennial world in this COVID crisis. I place my due respect to all those educationists who have molded me. The theme for today's session is Point by Professor Anthony. It takes tremendous deliverance to actually coalesce academic education with human development. The benchmark of academic education in human development of the contemporary world. Okay. When we begin this session, I'm going to use this flashback technique. I'm going to time travel you back to 5th May of 2019. I'm going to transport you 2 years back of the same day and same time. Remember how we used to get up early in the morning, finish our morning routine, for workplaces, schools, colleges, because the trend that was changed. Academic education shows you the picture of the normal classroom, which was prevalent 2 years back. The infrastructure, the classrooms, the blackboards, green boards, whiteboards, the clock, our notice boards, and the desks and the benches, it all stands as a nostalgic memory now. We have our own static classroom, a place which is called as a classroom, where students came, sat down, listened to classes and lectures for hours and hours. But now, look at the present moment. We have changed immensely. Apart from the health industry, even during lockdown, the only department or the first department to resume back to work was the education department. We have slowly started an educational revolution without our own knowledge. We've started experimenting with technology, reaching out to everyone. And now we have school classes, the college classes, lectures, even through mobile technology. There is a shift from the conventional classroom, the traditional classroom where there is a building called school or college where all the students walk into the classroom and then have their lessons, learn their lessons. Now we have a modern classroom. The modern classroom comprises of every student at its own pace and fees. You can sit in your own home, you can be in the bedroom, you can be in the living room, you can be there in the kitchen, yet listen to your classes. The school classes and the college classes have changed from your blackboard to your television. The classes are being held through television channels, through educational platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, and so on. All the teachers My salute to all the teachers who are breaking new grounds, because you are trying to set up a new change, new trend in society. You are trying to resume classes even virtually. You are in your own home, but your home is no more your home. You started handling classes at your own home, in your own comfort zone. Avante Gade, meaning you experiment with new technology. The most recent scientific reforms we found in the classrooms or the teachers who try to make use of lot of technology so that students can get to know their lessons and students can go on with their classes, learn more. So when we talk about this particular educational scenario, I'm reminded that all of us would agree to the saying that if it were in 2019, all mobile phones were banned in the classrooms and in the college premises. But with COVID, all of us, including myself as a parent, when there is a time for her classes, I just go to my daughter and say, now it's time for your class, pick up your mobile, go and sit in the classroom and listen. So it simply means we are slowly transforming, we are slowly changing ourselves for the better. We want to learn more, we want to know more, we are updating ourselves to the new technology. When conferencing some 2 years back, we just call the resource person, we get permission, we try to get their availability, we fix a time, we try to schedule events, we try to assemble the students in a classroom, and then the video conferencing is done. But video conferencing nowadays is so much easier. Like you just have to get to know the resource person, to that person, get his permission, his or her permission, and within few minutes, you are able to reach out to students globally. This particular session is even uh, given out to the WhatsApp groups so that people from various institutions could also join and benefit. So in the longer run, might be after 5 to 10 years, all of us would listen to classes and lectures happening elsewhere in the world. Can also be interested in some astrophysics, you want to listen to a lecture by some professor in Australia, you can always go for it without taking a lot of efforts or immense pride problems. We just started our own education evolution with whatever technology we could have. Now I'm talking about the academic education, the new norm, the online classes. So with COVID giving its destructive phase on everybody, all of us have started moving on to online classes. The online classes where the teacher schedules a time, there is a special schedule for you to follow. All the students are in your own comfort zones, your own home, and then switch on the mobile, you enter the Zoom meeting or you enter any platform, any educational platform, and then you start listening to classes. But look at the technology that is being introduced here. The virtual reality of bringing every student into one common cloud where you are able to connect even though you are in a distance mode. The teacher is somewhere 1,000 kilometers away and the students are some 1,000 kilometers away. Every student can be reached out through online classes. When I talk about virtual reality, I simply remember my teacher, my biological teacher, who used to tell me when we were looking at those specimens, she would tell me that in future you will get to see the 3D version where everything will be visualized like how you see in the television. Now going to 3D and 5D, we are able to look if it's going to be the circulatory system or digestive system. The students have hands-on experience in learning from it. Though we don't get to touch it, it seems so real. It seems so surreal that it's very close to our eyes and right in front of our naked eyes. Educational platforms are immensely used by all the institutions. any platform, Edmodo, Big Blue Button, Free Conference Hall, Meet, the WebEx that we are using now, have all made education feasible for everybody around the world. Now we talk about a change in the education curriculum. I wouldn't say curriculum, I would just say there is a change in the way we adapt to our classes. There's been a transition from teacher-centered classroom where you had your classroom, the teacher stands right in front of the students and then handles the classes. Now it's been shifted to the students. The students are there available. A time will come when students will be allowed to listen to the lectures at their own pace, at their own. You will not be able to demand students to come, sit and listen to my class. The students will they will decide when they will listen to your class. They will have their lectures. It will be recorded into their mobiles, or you just post it into a platform, Google Classroom. Lectures are available. The students can listen to it at their own pace. So slowly we are moving towards the education industry where education can happen anywhere, any place and any time. And we can never force a child to learn. You cannot make the child forcibly sit into a place and study. So in the process of revamping this assessment method, we have to think our own assessment methods are a failure, because so far we on rote learning. We just focused on asking the students to study some material and then write up. With exams happening online, it is time we allow the students to think. Academic education or education for the sense should allow the child or the student to think and answer from their own opinion and from their own perspective, rather than asking them to give up what is there in the book. As I said, the changing facets of globalized. So now you people are listening to me from Tirunelveli. I'm in Tirunelveli, and then my workplace is somewhere in the Middle East and UK. We are all splitted across the world. We are all placed in different places across the world. Technology, we are able to connect. We have made the whole world, the whole globe into a small device where you can just click and you can connect to any person across the world. So now we are moving on to a globalized learning and globalized world where you will be able to learn from any professor. As I said earlier, you will be able to learn from anybody across the world. So this will pave the way for a common framework and curriculum. We are still in the metamorphosis stage. We are still transforming. We are transforming for the best. Might be in a few years, we will be able to reach out to the transformed stage where everything will be said and done. But still, until then, we are still improving ourselves. And no affiliation. As far as I'm concerned, it will take another 5 to 10 years for people to stop affiliating themselves. Like, you will be judged on your expertise. If you have knowledge on a particular subject or the content of a particular subject, you will to deliver across, and you will not be conformed to a particular place. As I said earlier, you will be able to reach out to the professors all over the world. You can learn from them, and it can be at your own pace. A person might be an engineer till his age of 40. After 40, he might feel that he wants to do medicine. He can also go for his medicine, learn his, get his degree, medical degree, and then practice medicine. So we are no longer confined by the profession or the designation. Assessment is an area where we are all trying to work out, and in future, might be in the next decade, we will have people with a lot of expertise and knowledge, rather than people who would just give out what is there in the subject. When I talk about gamification and learning, it is similar to your games that you play in the mobile or in your video games. As we cross each level, Education is going to be sorted out into different levels where a child wants to pass to fourth level or the fifth level. Then the child doesn't want to continue his education. He wants to go for some other degree or some other course that interests him. Now with online education, the MOOCs that are available, people are going in for a demand for all the different kinds of courses that are available. It can also trigger your interest in any subject. As my patent, it actually stands for intelligent automation model, which any person or any sane person would think that it is not possible for a person from English literature to go for a scientific discovery. It all happens because we are interested in a particular subject. We can go for the information or we can go for the subject apart from our education. So the blooming star fields henceforth would be interdisciplinary studies. When we talk about interdisciplinary studies, it is just, I have listed out the subjects which might be in demand, which will probably be in the next 20 years or so. We start with artificial intelligence and robotics, which is highly interesting for all the students, the school-going students. And I take this moment to share about my patent where it comes under this artificial intelligence, where we try to care for the driver and the vehicle safety. Sir has mentioned that I had received a patent for artificial intelligence where we try to work on the women's safety, the passenger safety, and the driver's safety. And in case of accidents, we come across so many accidents. What happens when a vehicle meets with an accident? How do we cater to the needs of the driver and the passenger? So we try to derive a model. So when we talk about artificial intelligence and robotics, there are so many other students. This year alone, there are more than 184 patents received or given by the Anna University in Tamil Nadu alone. So slowly, with millions and thousands and lakhs of students passing out as engineers, it will be time when students cater to their own interest. They will think of looking up for a model, or they will try to bring about a new discovery, new invention into the world. So the blooming fields, as I said, it will be interdisciplinary in the sense you will not have one particular subject, or you will not be proficient, or you will not be a master of a particular subject. Rather, it will be an overlapping of different subjects. Nowadays, in higher education, even when you come to the higher secondary level, students are allowed to choose between the subjects of science with worldly culture, world education. And let me remind you, South Asian studies, especially Tamil, having a lot of ancient civilization, people all around the world look up to South Asian studies, and they definitely want to know our culture. With my exposure in Iraq, I can definitely say people were interested, and I was working in a particular province where people had got their own freedom. They had fought a revolution, massacre where millions of people were killed in the particular zone after the reign of Saddam Hussein. They wanted to have a government, democratic government by themselves. So they look up to Tamil people. The LTT Prabhakaran issue was highly spoken of, though we might not know. It is all registered and given in history there. People look up to South Asian studies, especially Tamil culture. And it's time for Tamil people also to look into our own culture and be proud about it. When I say financial management, it actually alters or gives another alternative path to economics. Nowadays, students have enough and more exposure to technology. They are earning more even before they could start a job. So they do not know financial management. All these areas will be propping up in future, which will tell them how to handle their own life. So I have given you a picture of humanoid robots. You find people who are similar to human beings, who are designed in a manner of a human being, who do your work. With COVID, we realized that every industry, be it education, health, or the IT, slowly we find robots taking the place of human beings. If a person has to report to a TL or a person who has to get his work for the day from the TL, it is being allotted by the robots, the robotic system in the IT sector. When it is health, we also find robots being introduced to perform surgical experiments or surgical procedures in countries abroad. And when it comes to education, mind you, there will be a time when we human beings will be replaced by mechanical teachers or the computers, the robots who will take up education. So according to me, the purpose of education is academic, political, economic, and social. Academic, we give a lot of importance to academic. We make sure the student studies the subjects and then pass the exam and then clears and gets the degree. But we do not talk about the political purpose of education. Like how does a child or citizen of India performs his political rights to the nation? We allow a child to get a degree, earn for a livelihood. Every student passed out from any professional education colleges or technical education colleges have their degrees in their hand and they start earning. Either they get placed in the campus or they want to join any company or industry, get a job for themselves. But there are areas where we have not focused on the political and the social responsibility. Nowadays, COVID access, striking force people their home places, we do not know how to cater to this political responsibility of the students, of the children. I would rather say children because we do not give them a chance. Unless we give them a chance and they learn from their own responsibility, we cannot say. I feel with the recent studies, I've been conducting studies for the past 2 years and I found that we have been creating individuals who are more into me factor. We have created human beings, we have created citizens, we have created individuals who think more about themselves and less about the society and less about the country. With people here with this COVID, people will start thinking about themselves because they want to learn. And as I said, learning will happen at their own pace and ease. So they try to look up to themselves. They are self-reliant. The teacher does not have any responsibility or the teacher does not have any control over the child who is there at home. Even at home, parents are held up with their work. They are not able to channelize the child or groom, mold the child for the society. Herein, where we talk about moral values, we talk about social skills, and which happens unintentionally. A 3-year-old child is put into a school in a pre-KG where the child learns social skills. They start to learn to live together. They sit and listen together. They talk with each other. But slowly, when the child is put into a small room and with nuclear families, it is high time children are more prone to their own self. They are more individualistic rather than collectivistic. So when I say personalized learning, as I said, the child will be able to learn through their own space. They go collect the content from the website or from the class group and they learn on their own. They set their own personal goals. Nobody else will be able to talk to them. Though we have a lot of mentors and then counseling groups, it is highly impossible for us to reach out to children. Now with COVID, we are there for the second year confined to our homes. After a period of 10 years, we will find a lot of behavioral changes in the children. And when I come to the last point, they are self-reliant, they think about themselves, They are only happy with themselves. The last point suggests that if they are not happy with a person, they just sever the relationship, meaning they are not happy with you, they just fight or they just cut off from the rest of the world. So if cost exceeds benefits, meaning if they do not want to share, if they do not want to give up, they just go away from the group. So the kind of people that we will be creating a society would be having all these characteristics. They will be highly independent. They will not be dependent on anybody. They have their own constructor. They construct themselves on their own. They have their own beliefs. They try to build a character for themselves. They always think about themselves. They are personal. They think about what I need, what I eat, what I sleep. Is more individualistic notion than they are collectivistic. So they take up choices or they take up chances by their own. When we talk about moral relativism, they do not think in lines with their co-group, with the peer group. So if a child was there in a classroom, there is a leader, representative who thinks for the class as a group, and there will be activities, there will be people who work together, play together as a team. But with academic education happening at homes, it will be more of self-centered and individualistic notion. Though they might excel more individually because they think more about themselves, they give a lot importance to authority. They do not prefer to share. They are highly competitive. They do not think in terms of equality. No one is equal. They are special. They are unique. They stand distinct from the society. It is like they stand apart. They stand alone. So now I would like to share a short story by Isaac Asimov in 1951 with the title The Fun They Had. Literature, especially poets, are believed to be prophets who envision prodigious inventions for the future. This comes under the category of science fiction. He predicts of life in 2157. We are living in 2021. This author has written a short story of what could be a school scenario in 2157. So now, earlier we had a flashback technique to 2000. Now I'm taking you fast forward. I'm forward to 2157. We are going to time travel to 2157. So what happens in 2157? There are two 10-year-old young children named Tommy and Margie in the story. They do not go to school or colleges. In each of their houses, there is an education room or a school room. So as in how we have our own kitchen, the bedroom and the living room, each household in 2157 will have a education room or a school room where the child will go to that respective room, sit and study for hours and then get back. In each of these education rooms, there are gadgets with modern technology. At the allotted time, they have to sit in front of the computer individually. The computer is a mechanical teacher who would teach them different subjects. So there is one computer which teaches them different subjects, or it can be a television too. One day, Tommy, one of the characters, sneaks into Margie's house. So both of them are neighbors. He sneaks into Margie's house with a diary. He has found it in the attic or in the loft of his house. So there will be special cupboards in your upper part of the house where you put away old things. They open the book and find that it is a printed book and it has been printed on paper. The pages of the book is brownish yellow, proof that it is centuries old. They find it very strange because the word book not move. I'm telling you a situation what will happen when students or children of 2157 come across a diary or a book where the words would be static, they will not move. Because students will be used to computers, mobile phones, or television. They find it very strange because when they study computer or television, the words on the screen will move. Tommy says, "Oh, come on, it's such a waste. Once you read this book, you have to throw it away." But Margie finds it little interesting. Tommy replies, "The television screen has millions of books and there is no need to throw it away." Margie asks Tommy, "What is the book about?" Tommy answers, "It is about a school." School? I think it's school. Why would anyone want to write about? My mechanical teacher, her computer, gives test after test in geography because I had scored less. I feel worse. Mark is very upset because he hates the concept of school. He's been received test after test by the computer. So it's a room where there is a computer. The computer says, "Margie, good morning. Open your books. We are going to study." And then it goes on mechanically with no interaction. Margie's computer has some issues. The county inspector examines the computer and finds that it has been scheduled 2 levels more. So the person who the software engineer tries to address the issue. He corrects it to the level of a 10-year-old. So he puts it back to Margie's level of understanding. Meanwhile, Tommy and Margie are curious to know about the school. So they start opening the diary and they start reading what is there in the book. They exclaim, "Oh, there is a building called school. All the children go to school to study. They sit together in a room. They sit in 4s or 3s in a long desk. Kids of the same age learn the same thing." So all these are quite different to them because each one of them have their own personalized learning. If one person finishes mathematics by today, he goes to the next level. Whereas another person who's not able to complete it will have to repeat the test again and again. So it is personalized learning where everybody will be at their own speed. And the last one, a human being teaches and teachers do not live in school. They also travel to school every day. So what the life has given us or what was the present day life in 2019 is no more. Margie wonders, how can a man be smart enough to teach? Then it is school time for both Margie and Tommy. They go to their respective school rooms next to their bedrooms. The computer, who is a teacher, is waiting for her. Margie pursues her geography class. She puts her homework in the slot with a sigh. So what happens is every day there is a separate slot, like how you have your hard disk earlier or your pen drive or your CD. You just have to insert your homework, the computer corrects it and gives you feedback. She is still thinking about the old schools they had. Grandfather's grandfather was a little boy. All the kids from the whole neighborhood came, laughing and shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom, going home together at the end of the day. It must be fun to live, learn, and grow up together. How good it might be to talk to a human being called teacher and not this computer. So, our learning lessons for today. We live in a society where we cannot live alone. We need to work on peer interaction. Though we have online classes, We should make sure that the students in the class interact with each other. We need to bring in a lot of activities so that their social skills are developed. We need to collaborate them into small groups, like how we had it in our earlier classrooms, so that we try to create a society which is collectivistic and does not think about individual gratifications. The collective consciousness must be the interpersonal relationship between the children, the students, with the staff, the faculty, the staff, the administration, the management, with the hierarchy must be noted. The group behavior, like when we have a sports day celebration, we have people or children put in, students put in groups, different groups where they work together for group win, or they try to win as a group, which is most needed at the moment. We cannot fight COVID alone. We cannot sit at home and fight COVID. Rather, we need to work together with social distancing, of course, but we need to create citizens for the world rather than citizens for the country or people for our own community or society. I would conclude that with the advancements in STEM education, science and technology, engineering and management, we are going to reach the benchmark of academic education. We are going to reach more and more success. But let's not forget that man is a social animal. We cannot live alone. Man is dependent on his fellow beings for everything. The benchmark of academic education is reaching towards the pinnacle of success, both in academics and finance. But human development involves social responsibility and political participation. I strongly believe that we are in the right hands of leadership. I have no doubts that the knowledge dissemination in this webinar would be of great value in bringing new thoughts and vigor to the prospective teachers, future educators, who will build a congruous, collectivist world. Equality into an opportunity, fight back, bounce back. The whole world needs a laptop. A laptop now, a human laptop. Moms, dads, grannies, grandpas, aunts, uncles, someone to hold them, read to them, and teach them. Loved ones who will embrace them and pass on the experience, rituals, and knowledge of 100 previous generations. Loved ones who will pass to their next generation their expectations of them, their hopes, and their dreams. Let's be the change. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge. Now it's time for questioning session. Participants can ask your question, or you can also post your questions in the chat box.
I have a question.
Excuse me. Okay.
May I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I felt, is it really practical to replace human beings with robots in the educational field?
As I said, we are still working on it. It might be a possibility in the future. It might not be also. Let's just hope that we need human teachers to actually prepare or mold our children. I definitely do not want a computer mechanical teacher to handle my child, because I leave my child to the care of a teacher all day long. But in the future, What we keep predicting is that what will happen if it's the case in the future. Unless we improve our expertise, we have more knowledge and more compassion, more of everything put together, we are a wholesome package, then there will be a possibility for people to say we need human teachers. Or just in today's scenario, we can see that lot of students, a lot of parents, especially a lot of parents complain to the management saying that the teachers aren't good. They complain about the quality of teachers. Unless the quality of the teachers are up to its benchmark, we cannot say what will happen. It can be a possibility, but God forbid, we need teachers, lovely, wonderful, happy, cheer spreading teachers. We do need them because I've been molded by wonderful teachers myself. But if that's the case, we also need to adapt.
Thank you, ma'am.
Evening, ma'am. So I had this one question, ma'am, that currently we have switched to online education, and for a lot of school students, their very first experience with education is going to be online. And we generally talk about students learning socialization and learning how to mingle with other people when they go to school. But these students are starting with like online education. So how do you think we can bring that socialization process within online education, make students involved with other students, make them want to participate with other students? How do you think we can bring that into an online kind of classroom?
Thank you for the question. As I said, it is going to be a tiring task for the teachers. The teachers have to sit, think, break their heads, and come up with some kind of an activity. Because as you people, the first year degree, B.Ed degree students themselves haven't met most of the teachers. You do not have a rapport with your faculty. You do not know what kind of teaching would be in the real classroom scenario. The same happens with children. You can never talk to them about socialization, or you cannot ask them to work together, but rather you can give them opportunities. When the teacher is giving out an activity in the classroom, it can be group wise. She can put the children into groups, ask them to answer as a group, or ask them to work together as a group, ask them to work on mind maps as a group. Every activity in the classroom, if the teacher can plan some kind of a group activity in every session of the online classes, I think to some extent, I wouldn't say 100%, to some extent we can work. Might be after the COVID, we are still waiting for the COVID wave to move away so that we can get back to resume our lives. But I don't think it will happen in the near future. It will take a lot more months for us to get back to our real selves. So the teachers themselves should make up some kind of an opportunity in the classroom, bring in some activity, some group discussion where everybody is allowed to participate. The forum is no more teacher centered, it is more student centered. So here on, might be after 2 years, you will just give a topic to the group of students. All the students will read out about the topic. So when they meet in a common forum like this, they can pose questions. So when you pose questions, it is more of a discussion rather than one person handling the session for an hour and everybody sleeping through it. I think that will be the case, bringing in lot of participation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, my question is how we can ensure moral development when education is online these days?
It's highly tricky because you know how I try to give the message across through a story. Everybody loves stories, and you can always tell morals or try to suggest morals through a story. But you do not have a feedback session. You do not know whether the child is understood or not. We do not have the opportunity to reach out physically, but if you are going to reach out to the child virtually, it is more of stories with moral values, because nowadays children do not have the patience. They will not be able to sit for more than 5 minutes. When I started the session, my daughter was sitting next to me. Just 5 minutes, she got up and she said, "I'm bored," and then she walked off. So it is going to be for all the teachers, for you young teachers, and for me also, to make sit and listen to our classes. When I said the sessions will be according to their own pace and speed, it simply means that in future, when they are interested, they will look up to the computer and learn. So moralistic relativism or development of morals is going to be a high question mark, a real question mark, unless the child likes the teacher. It has to go back to our KG section. When we were in our KG, we always loved our KG teacher because we felt that the KG teacher loved us. We say that our KG teacher is most beautiful and she is the most caring because the teacher cared for us. But here in an online session, when the teacher does not have the capacity or the facilities to reach out, it will be a little difficult comparatively. So the teacher has to put in more than 100%. It has to be 1000%, not 100 and 200%, 1000% to reach out to students. But it can happen. In the near future, it will be more of the classroom size would be decreased. The ratio would be 5:1 or 4:1 so that we can cater to the needs of every child. I think it will be possible. You are young budding talents. You can definitely work for it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, dear, you're audible.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, my question is, though the new norm of academic education, that is the online platform, is at the learner's will and ease, we see that there is reduction in the quality of education, ma'am. Because we have network issue, students cannot concentrate or pay attention to what the teacher is teaching through an online platform. And especially we cannot get the exposure, the practical exposure which we get from the offline class. So what can be done for the same?
I am just spellbound by your question because the practical sessions will definitely work out. The physical classroom is more advantageous than the others, but still we can always work towards it. Because when I said it is at your own pace and speed, there will be children who will want to listen to classes in the afternoon, might be 2 to 4. So the teacher records the lecture and shares it in the platform, education platform that we would be using. Say I use Google Classroom. I record my classroom lecture and post it in Google Classroom. The child will be able to listen to the classroom might be 2 days after or 2 weeks after. It depends on the child. Unless the teacher is an expert, online education will not be possible. We will not survive another year as teachers or educators. And unless the child is educated in the subject, if the child is not interested in English or physics or mathematics, and it will be very difficult for the child to listen. So it is both give and take, vice versa, where you have to get the child's attention. Here in the B.Ed colleges, we always say you need to get the child's attention. You prepare a lot of TLMs. Now that we have only the laptop, we have to look in for creative videos and so that the students' attention into the classroom. But then we ourselves human beings, we will not be able to listen for more than 15 minutes. And if the child has to sit for 8 hours at and listen to sessions, it will be lot, because it will be a lot more difficult for the child because the child does not have the physical ability to sit in a place for hours. That is why we had physical education classes where the child can go out, play. Every classroom will have a scenario where we sit and talk to our neighbors, our best friends in the very own session where the class is going on. But we are going to demand a child to sit in a confined place and listen. It's going to be very difficult. Let's hope it turns out for the best.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering all the questions and clarifying all our doubts.
Gratitude is not only the greatest virtue, but the parent of all. Now, I invite Ms. Kezia, Assistant Professor of English Pedagogy, Loyola College of Education, Chennai, to render the vote of thanks.
In everything, give thanks. Good evening.
Kezia ma'am, just give me a minute. I just have a welcome note to my friend. My special welcome to Dr. Karthikeyan, the successor in LCE. Welcome, sir, to LCE. You will have a fabulous grooming and exposure here. Though I did not get to meet you virtually also, I just wanted to welcome you into LCE.
Thank you. Thank you so
ma'am.
much, ma'am. I'm already experiencing.
Thank you, Mom. In everything, give thanks. Good evening. I'm overwhelmed with joy to propose vote of thanks for this event. First and foremost, I thank Almighty God for protecting us through this pandemic and making this event possible. On behalf of the management, staff, students, and all participants, I express my sincere thanks to our today's speaker, Dr. Imelda Josephine, international researcher and educationist, for readily accepting our invitation and enlightening us with her valuable thoughts, making us think and rethink the bench of human development in terms of education in this contemporary world. Thank you, ma'am. I thank our well-wisher, Father Secretary, Reverend Dr. Sebastian S.J., for his vision, his able guidance, and continuous support in conducting events as these. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our principal, Dr. L. Kulande Teresa, who inspired us always to do the best with her unstinted support and encouragement in all the efforts. I also thank the organizer, Mr. Anthony Joseph, for organizing a webinar that would help each of us to face the millennial world in terms of education during these pandemic times. I owe a special gratitude to the technical people of Quickstart Academy and everyone who worked behind the scene, sacrificing the time and has put a lot of effort to execute this program successfully. My heartfelt thanks to all the staff for their support, making this event possible, and Anjana for her graceful MC. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for your participation, patient listening, and attention. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words of gratitude. After National Anthem, the feedback link will be available in the chat box, and I request all the participants to fill the feedback form. Now, let's all rise for the National Anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य